Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Today we've got another special guest on the show, the director, AJ Bennett from Seraphim. We had the pleasure of talking with one of the main actors from the movie, and now we get a chance to talk to the creative mind behind it. AJ, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I finally got a chance to check out the movie. It was exciting to see. You made an hour-long John Wick fan film that started off as just something that was supposed to be like a spec for some martial arts like demo reel for some of your actors, and it ballooned into this huge project. So, how do you handle something that big, and what drove you to even make something of that length and that magnitude?
As you said, it kind of started off. We had two actors, Ben and Q, on there, that played Marco and Damien. Initially, it was just gonna be like a quick, like maybe 10-minute just scene where they could show off their physicality, martial arts skills, and stuff like that to put on their demo reels. But then we had reached out to a bunch of other actors that we were very impressed by at a festival. We did the Kick Ass Film Festival, and we met a bunch of actors there. And me and my wife kind of were like, "Hey, these are the people that were extremely talented there and carried their teams and blah blah blah, all that." And so we reached out to those individuals and we're like, "These guys are like professionals. Maybe we get one or two yeses. That's it." Luckily, they were all ready to work. We got all yeses. So I was like,
It's
"Okay,
amazing.
now we have a cast of 9.
And now you have a
This
problem.
this cannot be 10 minutes." And for me, if I'm reaching out to somebody to be in my film, I don't want to give them just like a side role. I want them to have stuff that they can use in their reels, substance for their career. And so we sat down, and me and my wife were like, "All right, we have to make a movie. Like, if we have 9 really highly talented actors, none of them can just be like a bodyguard or something like that. They all got to have a role." So we started writing and writing and writing. The first script was about 35 pages, and then once we went through fight
That's
choreography, then revised it, then we had some extra push in there, but I think the end of it was about 45, 50 pages after like the third or fourth revision.
wow.
And then we were with B-roll and all the other pieces that make a movie, just kind of stretched that out to an hour.
That's amazing, and it was awesome production. I thought you guys did a stellar job. It was really cool seeing a lot of familiar locations, obviously, living here in the city and whatnot. Now, you've already accumulated 24,000 views on YouTube, where it's located right now. What does that mean to you? I mean, I know you haven't necessarily monetized it because you can't, because it's a intellectual
Correct.
property that you're working with, but 24,000 views for your movie, that's a huge deal. I mean, what's that momentum been doing for you guys after you finally did all the work?
It feels phenomenal. I can't tell you, when those first couple of days, just refreshing the feed and seeing it go up and up and
That's
up,
a
it
fun
was like,
feeling.
wow. It felt really good to get that validation of like, we wanted to deliver something for these actors and give them something that was, like I said, had substance for their careers. And so to see that climb so quickly and get to 24,000 views was,
You only have 4 weeks.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it's crazy, and it feels really good to know that we did something that people outside of our community are starting to like.
yeah,
Like, seeing that number, 24K, is just kinda surreal, and it's making us really want to make sure the next thing hits just as well, if not better.
yeah, and you're working on more stuff, but you're also gonna do the Kick-Ass Film Festival as well.
Correct, yes.
Now, we did talk about that, but this is gonna be a whole 'nother episode, so let's just fill people in. What is the Kick-Ass Film Festival? What's that experience like?
So when we did last year, it was a lot of fun. For me, the 72 hours is a lot less stressful. There are 48-hour ones out there, but I feel like that's just a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And so we haven't done any of those. But when we saw 72 hours, like, this is kind of a sweet spot. So we jumped in last year, did that, and we were nominated for 6 nominations.
And you won 4 of them, right?
We did not. We didn't win anything.
Oh, you didn't win anything.
But it
Okay.
still felt great to be nominated because we were still growing our company from this tiny thing that nobody knows about, because I was like, say, I've been behind or in front of a camera for over 20 years, since I was 5 years old. And so
Wow.
I have all the knowledge, all this stuff. I've done stuff with other people. And so there was a time where me and my wife were like, why don't we do this for ourselves? And so,
You started RDE?
yep. So we started RDE. And so we did like a comedy skit to just test it out. Then we
Nice.
did a nice psychological thrill. And they're like, all right, we're ready for something a little bit more. And Q, who's on our team, he was like, "We need some more people." I was like, "All right, I agree. Let's go find those people in the right space. Let's go do a kick-ass film fest, and let's network there." And so we were able to see 24 groups who had their teams of actors, and we were able to just watch every single film, like, "Okay, this person is amazing. This person's wonderful." And by the time we watched all 24 teams' films, we're like, "These 8 are the most talented that I have seen in Colorado so far.
Yeah.
Let's reach out to them and let's see what they say and make what we make. And then all of them were like, yes, I'm ready to work. Let's go. And that led to the other story we were talking about. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. The 72 hours feels like a good length that is just stressful enough, but also enough time to be like, all right, I could get in there. And if I put everything in a specific order, we can knock this out.
Right on. Well, for those of you that don't know, it's not locally sourced, even though it started here in Colorado. Anyone from any city, any state can join it as well. So probably by the time we put this out, it's probably already too late, but they're making great waves. I mean, this year alone, I think they've doubled the amount of teams.
Yeah.
I think they've even surpassed it. I've seen even a few more teams sign up recently, which
Yeah.
is exciting. So it'll be great. So hopefully for year 6, for those of you that want to participate, it's going to be open enrollment nationwide, I think is what they were trying to do this year alone as well.
Yes.
Obviously, it helps if you're an actor to be in the same location
Yeah.
with the director that you're working with. That makes more sense. But yeah, check it out. I'll drop the link down in the below for the Kick-Ass Film Fest if you guys want to check out more information on that. I'm excited. Are you participating this year as well?
We are, yes. And it's actually going to be an RDE first.
Okay.
For our team. You talk to James Anthony Perez. He will be debuting his directing career with RDE
That's so
at the
cool.
Kick-Ass Film Fest.
Wow.
So I'll be kind of going back to the cinematography, writing side with my wife, and we're gonna let James take the helm on this one. And he's gonna show what he's got because he's very talented in many different aspects.
That's what I hear.
Yes.
He's just sitting over there.
And this year,
But you can still talk about him, but like he's not here. Don't worry.
yeah, and to add to the excitement, we are at a different level than we were last year. Last year, we competed. I used my iPhone and a $50 mic on Amazon and made a lot of people upset when they asked me, like, hey, what equipment did you use and all that stuff. I was like, I used my iPhone and ordered this mic on Amazon. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
So this year, we have a different setup. We have a bigger team. So it's going to feel a lot better. And I'm really hoping we could bring a different quality than we did last year. Not to say last year's quality wasn't good, but just better this year.
What was your film last year then?
Ours was The Trick.
Okay.
So it was the one about the creepy guy at the park who kills a little girl.
Wow, that's extreme. But hey, what was your genre that you got?
We got crime.
Okay.
Which I feel
And
very.
that's what you chose. There's so many other crime. It could have just been a burglar. And you're like, let's murder a child.
We wanted to make a statement, and
Okay.
my daughter was on our team. She's an actress up and coming, and we're like,
Okay.
okay, we got her. We got Q, and we have one of our other friends, Austin. We're like, we got y'all. And we brought in the very talented Melissa, who I think is based out of Utah. And so we had this group. We're like, let's make a statement. Let's make something that's going to creep people out and leave a mark. And that's kind of what we did. Jacob, who helps run the festival, he was telling me he had to turn ours off halfway through because he was watching all the submissions. He's like, I had to turn yours off.
It's like a compliment and almost not a compliment at the same time. It's like, well, you got to finish it because there's just a giant clown party that happens in the end and you miss that, right?
Right,
Like,
exactly. And, I think we really wanted to hit people in the nerves. And that's,
cool.
Nobody likes to see kids hurt. And I'm very much of the mindset of implied violence. So we didn't show any of the violence to let the audience think the worst.
That's sometimes more effective.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, some people might think, oh, this is grotesque what I'm seeing. And some people are so desensitized to violence. But by leaving it up to your imagination, some people can obviously think the worst.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good way to do that. I always enjoy stuff like that. I mean, once again, Jaws, right?
Right, exactly.
I mean, we just go back to the major blockbuster that started that. So obviously, you did all that. You've got this momentum happening here. What is the challenge you've been facing with independent filmmaking this far removed from New York, Hollywood, major studio locations, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not in some podunk town, but we are kind of far removed from everything out there. So
We really are.
it's been pretty cool to see the momentum. So what challenges are you facing with, RDE, the filmmaking stuff that you're trying to do? Because you kind of knocked it out of the park with Seraphim.
I appreciate that. I think, it is challenging us to be resourceful. So, it's one of the things we're very proud of. Seraphim was a zero budget film.
Get out of here.
Yes. So the only money we put into that was to feed our actors and then the premiere. Other than that, everything production wise, we had to really, really use our resources, use our brains, use local businesses, use the fact that Colorado Springs is very kind with their permitting. And so we were like, okay, if we're going to make something this grand scale, let's use something grand scale. Let's use a city.
Yeah,
So we used the as much of Colorado
you
Springs
did. Yeah.
around the city as we could, which really helped us fill these gaps. We had some scenes where we had to movie magic it. We had the Russian scene with Dmitri, and then the internal Continental Private Lounge. That was all on the same set,
Yeah,
just in separate rooms.
absolutely.
So we had to movie magic that.
I was at that
Um,
set this morning.
that's awesome. Yeah. And so I think, money wise, it's always difficult not to have enough money.
I
Not to
know.
have sound stages and specific types of sets can be difficult. But, me and my wife, we really like that kind of chaos and problem solving. And I feel like that's where our strengths come in to overcome those is to be resourceful.
That's awesome. I can't believe you made that hour-long thing on a 0 budget. That's impressive, man. I
Thank
mean, obviously, as you just said, there was some money involved, but not towards actors and gear and
Correct.
renting space and stuff like that. You found everyone to volunteer that up.
That's
That's incredible. We've been lucky. We've been finding a lot of people that have been very happy to volunteer space for the Kick-Ass Film Festival. So that's been kind of like this nice breath of relief where it's like, oh, we really could have a lot more options and
right.
stuff. And my current producer right now, shout out to Echo, has already found us like 10 locations for
Oh,
Kick Ass. I mean, obviously, we have no idea what we're making, but
right.
it was really cool to see all these other businesses and business owners kind of step up and just volunteer. Hey, we won't be there on Saturday. Use it.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool. So,
And that's really nice to be able to prep as much as you can because there's not much
I know.
prep you can do.
No,
But like
exactly.
have an idea of where we could be really helps with that.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, with the weather that we're having around here, you never know what you're going to get from one day to the next. So I'm trying to be as prepped for indoor shooting as possible because
Yes.
it can change on a dime down where we live here. So that's amazing. So let's talk about Seraphim just a little bit more because I definitely want to pick your brain on that. Now, obviously, we learned you didn't do anything on a budget. Started with a spec script, which I just absolutely love that you came from like, hey, I've never shot anything like this, and we want to create a demo reel. And then you did the action sequences, which I thought was incredible because I'm petrified of messing with guns and doing action sequences because you can hurt somebody, and I don't know much about stunt work. So, what gave you the confidence to shoot all those action sequences, bring guns, bring violence into the film that you were making? And
Uh,
I mean,
Honestly,
I mean, I know you cheated a lot with your gunplay was like kind of off camera and stuff, and I noticed it, but I was like, you still did some cool tricks where I'm not sitting there going, "Oh, this looks." I've seen bad movies where they're like, "No, we'll do it on camera," and they put the horrible muzzle flash on there. So,
yes.
like, what gave you the confidence to actually say, "Hey, screw it, let's give people some submachine guns." I saw in there,
Yes.
couple of pistols, and then obviously some hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, so great, it was very awesome. When we did the Kick-Ass Film Fest, David had seen our group and he had heard about Seraphim and he was like, "Hey," well, he reached out to somebody in New Mexico who was working for local work in Colorado Springs, who is a stunt coordination group in New Mexico. It's so cool. So they reached out to me and I was like, "Hey, like this is what we're doing. We're no budget, blah blah blah." He was like, "Hey, I just wanna be up there, get some work in there and help you out." I was like, "Sweet." So we got Rising Star
Incredible,
Stunt
man.
Team.
That's incredible.
I agree, it was amazing, and so Gary Choi was the one that led the charge from New Mexico. He came up, he's with Rising Star Stunts, and we went through everything. We went through the script, broke it down. There was a lot of times where he's like, "This won't work." I was like, "Okay, tell me why, because this is how I want it." A lot of back and forth, uh,
That's so
and then once we met in person, we had the guys training. So we had Quentin, Ben, and James training for that first bit of filming. And so Gary had come up with the choreography, sent it to us virtually, had us practice it from the video. So we were at a park a couple times practicing all this stuff, and then we told him like, "Hey, my daughter's gonna be in it too. I want her to
Your
get right
daughter
up
was
there."
the kid in the movie?
Yes, that's
She was amazing, by the
thank
way.
you.
She did a great job on
She
camera.
is
You got a little talented kid there.
Yes, and she's our little theater kid, so she went from theater to being like, "I wanna be in a movie." I was like, "Well, you have the perfect family, so let's do it."
There you
So,
go.
she debuted at last year's Kick-Ass Film Fest,
Okay.
her chops, because
Oh, was she the kid in the
she
your
was
oral? Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
it's so funny because she's like, "Why is every movie I'm in, you kill me?" I'm like, "Sorry."
Oh, that's right, you do kill her. Oh, man. No, wait, no, wait. Let's not spoil it. I'm sorry.
Maybe, we'll
Maybe.
see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But,
But you gave her a lot of stuff to do in that film and even gave her a part, in the last action sequence, a little bit of
yes.
a fight choreography. So that's awesome that you guys incorporated the whole family.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and, what's cool with her, we keep her at the same standard, which I think a lot of the actors would, attest to, is even when she was on set, even though she's our kid, once we're on set, she's one of our talents, like, she gets the same critiques, sometimes if not more, because she is a kid, refining that and
Mm,
working with the actress she's got to work with was amazing because then even they would like, "Hey, try this or do that," and so she's got a really good experience coming in there, and then bringing Gary and his team in with all the safety, like, they brought all the weapons, they brought all the safety, they taught us how to do safety checks on set because we were talking about accidents in Hollywood that happen. We're like,
Yeah.
we are no budget film. We can literally not afford accidents. And he was like, no problem. And no matter when it was, if we had guns on set or a new person came on set, we had to do a safety check. So Gary's team is like
Good job.
on the up and up. They are phenomenal. If
See,
they get a chance
I
to
don't
hire
hear
them,
any of that. So that's what would petrify me. But yeah, if you get a chance, it sounds like this is the man to talk to because he
yes.
seems interested in the work and helping out,
Oh yeah.
and he did a great job, especially now that you just told me that you learned that virtually. He didn't come up and make sure that you were doing things the right way. You were just doing it virtually.
He had
That's
to
crazy.
correct us because the first shooting weekend, he finally came up. And so then he was like, "All right, now that I'm here, let's do the training and
Very
put you guys in the correct space." And so the first 3 days of shooting, we were like, "We're gonna knock out the fight scenes first, because we wanted them to have the confidence that they could do the fight scenes, and then they could just act the rest of the stuff we need. They don't have to
mhm.
worry about these." So the first 3 days, we were up in the gym about 9, 10 a.m., training till about 2 p.m. with Gary and his people,
That's a big day.
practicing all the choreography.
Wow.
Then we'd wait for nighttime that same day, have some dinner together, and then go shoot till about 1 in the morning.
Wow. Because it was a lot of nighttime shooting that you
It
guys
was,
did.
yes, which was very challenging for me cinematography-wise, but I loved the challenge, and believe it or not, like, a lot of the shots in Seraphim were all natural lighting.
Yeah.
Scouting and finding the different places to make it look cinematic and feel good was tough, but we did it, and, because on no budget, you
Yeah,
can't, like,
you guys
plug into
didn't
random places.
yeah, you didn't have a bunch of flying, but I noticed you used a lot of, like, neon. I'm assuming you had, like, battery powered, RGB lights that you threw in the background, which really added to the atmosphere and stuff.
Yes, where we could plug in lights, I was like, "Let's do
That was
this."
I mean, as a filmmaker, I was looking at a lot of your lighting. I was like, "How did they do it? How did they pull this off?" Like, 'cause, you guys were using all real places, so you almost didn't have the control that you would want necessarily.
Correct,
Yeah.
so I had to just really pick the places that I knew would work. We had, so many different places for these fight scenes, went and saw them at nighttime, and we're like, "These are the ones that are most lit up in the correct way that I would like. Let's do these ones because Colorado Springs downtown is filled with so many alleyways, and we had
Mhm.
lots of options, but then it was like, "All right, we have this one filled with graffiti. That would look so cool, but missing lights." So we go to another one, I was like, "Okay, this one has all the lights, kinda boring." Then we go to another one, like, "Okay, here's a mixture, kinda has this gritty feel, has all the lights we need, and it's in where we need it
Could have
exactly."
always added the graffiti. No one would have
Right.
noticed.
That's true. And, luckily, CSPD was amazing the entire time.
That's so cool.
Running around fighting, using prop guns.
Right.
Of course, we got our interactions with them, but after, like, the first night, they were like, "Oh, no, they're shooting a John Wick film. They're shooting a John Wick." It kinda became a thing where people were coming up and like, "What are you doing?" Oh, blah,
Yeah.
blah, and we had a couple people calling us, and they're like, "No, they're good. They're within their rights. They're just shooting a film." And it was really great to have that sort of community support as well.
That's cool. Yeah, absolutely. So you have another one that's in the works right now that you've already been promoting, but
Correct.
you haven't finished casting it yet.
Not fully. We have our main principal cast as of right now, which we'll be announcing here soon. But we are still kind of getting some of those supporting roles and some of those background extra stuff like that. And so we just put out our first casting call for it that people are starting to put in for it. So we're excited to find those extra people.
And that's Apocrypha.
Yes,
Apocrypha.
Apocrypha.
I'm gonna say it wrong every
It's
time.
okay.
I tried to say it like 10 times yesterday to get prepared, and then you showed up and you're like, "No, you're saying it wrong completely."
No, you're good. I tend to choose sometimes words that are like, what?
Yeah, Seraphim, dude. Like, I mean, once again, like, these are not in our normal vernacular, and
No.
you're like, screw it, let's just throw it out there." And one of the John Wick movies was Parabellum. You guys figure it out,
Right,
right?
exactly. You guys got this. Yeah, and there's always meaning behind the stuff we do, whether it's, the lighting. If you watch Seraphim from the standpoint of lighting being important and very chosen specifically, kind of helps the story a bit, along with the names that we choose. So when we do title things, it has meaning, and then the way we shoot them has a lot of
Cool.
meaning.
Well, what's the next film kind of about? I know you're dipping into the horror genre with
Yeah.
that one.
So
Without giving too much away, like, what's the general synopsis of your next film?
So essentially, we have a family that's going to a new town to get away.
Okay.
They have a medically fragile child, and things start happening in this town, in this house that they quite can't explain. And things just get worse and worse for them as they stay there. And we get to see some really creepy things. I'm kind of returning to where I feel my home is in cinema, which is that horror, psychological
Yeah.
area, and so we're also bringing Gabby back, who did a lot of the SFX in Seraphim. She kinda picked up the stuff that was done and then
Mhm.
finished the film for us. That if you see the knife thing, that was all Gabby. She's phenomenal. And so we've been talking with her and, conceptualizing these different ghosts, and
Awesome.
we're doing all practical because I wanna try and stay away from any VFX.
One of them's gonna be a pale ginger man that haunts him, right?
Potentially, I'll
Potentially.
see it
Okay.
and out.
No makeup needed.
Right. And
I already look this hauntingly good.
And so, we're really trying to bring something that will leave people at home on it and keep their lights on.
Awesome.
That's my goal. I really enjoy when I have people at home not ready for bed because they need to watch something funny.
Yeah. Okay. I like having the pants scared off of me, so I'm excited for that. So when do you think you might shoot that, and when do you think you might have that wrapped up? How long of a movie are you going for that? Another hour?
This one, we're gonna because we did Seraphim and we were successful as a team doing that one, we're gonna kinda push it farther. We're gonna do another feature film. This one currently script-wise, as I'm finishing this first revision, we're at about 75 pages, and that's before I'm done editing it
That's
and
a
adding
heavy
more.
yeah, that's a heavy
And
script.
so, I imagine we'll probably be hour 30, hour 45.
That's a legit movie. That's gonna be a process, man. Well,
Yeah.
I honestly wish you guys the best on that one.
Thank you.
Keep us posted. Would love to help feature that. Obviously, right now, you can catch Seraphim on YouTube. I will drop the link down in the comments below. Go and add to those numbers because 24,000 is great, but I know we could do better with that.
Let's get it there.
How else can people support you right now? Is there any way to give donations or help
Yeah.
support you in any other ways?
So that's a great question because over this weekend,
That's what I do.
we will actually be dropping our Indiegogo for it. So
Awesome.
we're gonna try our best to see if we can raise funds from wherever we can. That way we could just do a bit more. Gabby has her makeup needs. We're gonna need, sets, costumes, all these things. And so if we could get these resources, it'd be much easier. Otherwise, we'll just go back to the formula with Seraphim and just be resourceful and have a lot of quality control, which I think is the huge part that made Seraphim as good as it was. The quality control. My wife is phenomenal as an AD, and she will tell you to stop rolling if something's not right or if we need to change hair, fix something. Like
Okay.
that quality control, I think, is the biggest part.
We definitely need to talk to her if you come back. I am ashamed that she couldn't be here. It would have been awesome to talk to
Hey.
a husband-wife combo that to put that together and then puts their child at risk every time that they meet.
Yes, exactly. That's our
So
goal.
cool. That's awesome, man. Well, that I really want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me over on Screen Jockeys. Like I said, we've never really done this before, but I wanted to talk to what's happening in local communities because what's happening here could be happening right in your backyard. So if you want to direct, if you want to be a part of a cast or a crew, I mean, do like what AJ does. I mean, he found the Kick-Ass Film Festival, started building a community around him, and before you know it, you're getting more yeses than you are nos, and
Exactly.
you can make it happen.
Yeah, and everything, and what we learned with Seraphim is everything is a no until you ask,
Mm,
and
beautiful.
don't wait for money. Just quality control.
Yeah.
I think the business of entertainment that we are in can be difficult if you get in that mindset. Like, I'll do it once I have this. I'll do it once I have this.
Well said, my man. Well said. I mean, once again, you filmed your other short on an iPhone and a simple
Yeah,
microphone.
yeah,
So it doesn't have to be complex by any means. And now we have even more access to simple gear. I mean, they just filmed 28 years later on iPhone 15.
exactly.
It's not impossible, guys. I mean, once again, some decent audio will get you there and some good lighting.
Oh, yeah.
Still look good on an iPhone camera. So
Oh,
get out there and make it happen. I mean, once again, write a 3-minute script and see if you can execute. I mean, I always tell people you don't have to show everyone what you make. You can
that's true.
do it, crumble it up, throw it in the corner, and take notes on everything that you want to do better the next time. So I appreciate you putting out that positivity. Like I really want more people to understand is as much as we love those Hollywood big budget movies, and I love my Hollywood movies,
Yes.
you can still make it happen right there in your own backyard. So
Mhm.
I really appreciate your time. If you guys haven't taken the time, check out Seraphim. It's a badass John Wick film. And of course, we'll have more stuff from AJ in the coming future. So
Yes. Thank
that's
you.
it. You're welcome. Thank you.